Hello Gemini, Gemini Rising, and Gemini Moon people. This is your weekly, almost said monthly for some reason, weekly astrological and card horoscope for January 30th, the week of January 30th, 2017. And a quick reminder for you Gemini people, it is important to check your rising and your moon signs if you know what they are, because it will give you an extra dimension on your horoscope. Okay, I would honestly say if you're kind of looking for like, what's the best? Because everyone always asks. I would say that your sun sign for tarot, your rising for astrology. That seems to be how it's always worked out for me. So that might be something to think of as well. And of course, if you ever want to get a session, you can always follow the links below or go to integrativemysticism.com and we can look at you personally. So what's going on with your astrology this week, Gemini? Well, when it comes to your week, it's all about Mercury. Mercury in Capricorn is going to be forming a T-square throughout the whole week between Jupiter in your 5th house of love, romance, and creativity, your relationships with your children, Mercury in Capricorn itself, which is in your 8th house of shared resources and passive income, and with Uranus in your 11th house of friendships and social networking. And this T-square is honestly kind of bringing back a new opportunity, or bringing back an old opportunity, excuse me. You can't bring back something new, but you can put something back on the table. And everyone's getting put on the spot. If you recall back in December 2016, I was talking about, there was an angle where people were getting put on the spot. Who is going to be in charge of X, Y, and Z? And that's you. And again, you are being put on the spot this week, but it's you being put on the spot like you are the boss, like you are in charge, handed authority over matters that you might not want all the authority on, but here you go. And it looks like it's about handling finances that you are sharing with either a personal business and a creative project, a friend, or possibly even a spouse or a partner. And somebody's going to sort of hand over all the shots to be called to you this week. And whether or not you feel qualified, I think that, these are better left in your hands. If you have any, sort of executive decisions you need to make, especially when it comes to handling relationships with money in terms of, how we're spending things, how much we're putting into our child's college fund, how much our child is eating up when they finally go to college, how much money we're sharing with friends or business partners, if we have to change anything on those budgets, or maybe even get somebody to stop overspending, this is the time to be paying attention to that. This is also a great angle for those of you that are looking to speed up progress when it comes to maybe getting a business venture off the ground with a friend, or possibly even getting a financial venture with a romantic partner to finally be realized. So this is a great angle. So what is going on with your cards this week then? Well, for your spiritual advice, Gemini, we do have the card of Otherworld. And this is a card that actually kind of resonates a lot with the Death card in the tarot. And I can't remember if I got this for you last week or if I got this for another air sign. It does feel a little familiar. But the Otherworld card is talking about relinquishing and letting things go that need to be done, that are done. And because the Otherworld card is always talking about a natural end, something that is already coming to an end. There may be a point, or two this week with the Otherworld card where you're going to be forced to face and accept the inevitable. And while you can fight it or delay it, it might not be in your best interest to do so. Get it over with and move on. For your Earth sector, when it comes to your work and finances, we do have the Page of Swords reversed. And this card can indicate some challenges in the workplace that come from people maybe actually doing some bad math, or maybe even submitting some bad work, because the Page of Swords reversed does often indicate people jumping to the wrong conclusions, whether they're jumping to the wrong conclusions in terms of, rumor mills, bad information being shared around, or maybe even a poor evaluation of a project. Now, the Page of Swords reversed is also saying at this point in time that there may be some problems that go on with an interview. Something is not evaluated properly, or maybe we've got to kind of check in and correct somebody else's work. It's almost like correcting somebody else who's trying to correct our work this week. And this may turn out to be a good thing for you, because as unpleasant as it sounds, sometimes when we check other people's errors, especially when it comes to our money and our finances, we may be entitled to some kind of benefit, reimbursement, or compensation for either that time or the screw-up. For your communications with air, when it comes to your friends, your relatives, the others in your life, we do have the Empress card inverted. And when this card shows up reversed, it can show up as family challenges, especially when they relate to either a family member who you are supporting, or maybe even a family member who has been sort of petitioning for a lot of your time, energy, and money. And with the Empress card reversed, we do often see somebody who is kind of trying to get some kind of control by pretending they are in need. Okay, because the Empress card reversed can be a very manipulative energy. And when I look at this card, I'm almost immediately taken to the energy of those types of folks who, they know they need to be taken care of, or they want to be taken care of. They feel like their role in life is to do one thing, and then somebody else's job is to take care of them. They are not an independent person, they are not somebody who can take care of that for themselves. And, maybe they're not, maybe they're really not, but at the same time, they are taking advantage of the situation that put them in need in the first place. And so there will be sort of some dialogues that have to go on around that as well. So be careful about anyone trying to really monopolize that time and money and energy of yours this week when it comes to a relative. For your challenge this week with fire, we do have the King of Cups upright. Now, honestly, with the King of Cups upright, this isn't actually a bad card. Even though it's in a challenged position, the King of Cups themselves is not a bad person. Honestly, when it comes to the King of Cups, he tends to show up as somebody who is really caring, really actually very empathetic, somebody who's volunteering to try and help you out a lot. But sometimes when they show up as a challenge, it's sort of like their best efforts are still incomplete, they're not done correctly. If this is a coworker maybe, or somebody who's trying to support you, this might be the person we're correcting at work. Bless their heart, the King of Cups upright is trying to look out for your best interest, but I think as a challenge, it almost seems like, in spite of their intentions being the kindest and the most generous, they're still causing more harm than good. And so we've got to find a nice way to make sure that this person doesn't necessarily, do any harm, and find something nice for them to do so they can still feel like they're helping out. For your emotions with water and your romantic life, we have the Judgment card upright. And this card I think a lot of you are gonna like, because again, we're talking about second chances. We're talking about a fresh start when it comes to the love life, and I think that with the Judgment card, we usually end up having some very, very important discussions where we're all about getting on the right page with either a crush or a lover. If we've been kind of maybe going in two different directions, if you feel like maybe you and a lover have been kind of pulling the relationship in two different directions, or maybe the household's been kind of feeling like it's getting pulled in two different directions, this is the week where we start to actually, again, get everyone on the same page and working in the right direction. For those of you who are single and looking, the Judgment card upright is kind of interesting, because again, we talk about getting put on the spot. Well, somebody may be asking you out this week, or it may be a time to ask a certain somebody out, and again, we will be getting on the same page, and maybe even get this to go with a bit of a test drive in terms of what it would be like to date this person for real. So that is your forecast, Gemini. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. And of course, if you'd like to get a session, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com.